Hello and welcome, everyone. I am so grateful to all of you for coming out today. I know we're going to talk about we were going to talk about the seven wonders of California with our Ask a Californian columnist, Gustavo Arellano and Stacey Grenrock Woods, write a regular monthly column for Alta Journal called Ask a Californian. And our current issue of Alta is the seven wonders of California. In here, they've got their list of stuff that didn't make the list that they kind of, shook their fists at us and said, where the hell is Cher and Robert Redford and Levi's jeans? We were going to talk about that today, but obviously, Gustavo's in Orange County, Stacey's in Los Angeles. I know we are all incredibly aware and following the fires that are ravaging LA County and beyond. And so we're going to talk about that. We've kind of wiped everything else off of our agenda today, and we can talk about whatever you want to talk about. I've got a lot of questions as a NorCal person. Oh, if you're in the chat, make sure you're chatting to everyone and not just hosts and panelists. But we want to hear from you guys in the chat, hear where you're zooming in from. I'm up in Northern California. I'm in Novato. I've got a ton of questions for both Gustavo and Stacey about what it's like being in Southern California right now. What does this mean for California as a whole? We're going to talk about a lot. Before we dive in, I usually do a sales pitch for Alta Journal right now. I'm going to tell you my pitch for you today is to go to visit our social media accounts at Alta Journal. We've got a ton of resources. Namely, what we've been trying to do is reach out to our bookstore partners in the LA area. Independent bookstores, as we all know, I'm getting the chills, I love it, are a community hub. And so many of the independent bookstores in the LA region have become hubs for victims of the fire, people who need help in the fire. So we've got our Alta Journal accounts on social media, X, Facebook, Instagram, whatever. Check those because we've got an array of resources. Also, if you want to donate and help from other parts of California and beyond, visit that out for visit Alta Journal for those kind of resources. This interview will be recorded and posted to altaonline.com later today, I hope. And again, it's great to see people Pasadena, San Joaquin Valley, Santa Monica, Huntington Beach, Ukiah, California, Hermosa Beach, San Marcos, Texas. Thanks for someone in Pasadena, Altadena, Connecticut. Thanks all for zooming in.
We lost Beth. Have we
Beth
lost
there?
Beth?
I'm here. Are we the only people here now in
I think we're
California,
the only ones
Stacey?
here. Where's Beth? Come back to us, Beth. Okay, there she is.
That was on.
Oh, maybe it's like the leftovers, Stacey, and like
It is.
we got pulled
You guys.
somewhere.
Hold.
We're here,
No,
Stacey.
I'm gonna wait for
Or
Beth.
sorry, we're here, Beth. Uh-oh.
Okay, well, I guess we should just talk amongst
Yeah,
ourselves.
we should
Till
we
Beth
should just
comes
vibe
back.
at this point. I guess
Yeah, vibe at
I
this point.
I mean, I'll ask you, Stacey, because
Yeah.
you're the one who's actually in Los Angeles.
Yes.
How are you feeling? What are you seeing? Please talk to us about what's going on.
Okay, it's a little weird because for the last 3 days now, everything, and I'm about, I don't know, 5 miles from the Eaton fire. Uh, and for the last few days, it's been strangely clear and still, not windy. It's almost been eerily still and beautiful outside, which is a little odd because for the first, 5 days, I guess we're in about eighth day now. For the first 5 days, there was so much smoke that you couldn't go outside. There was smoke, I could smell smoke in my house. There was just, it was terrifying and you couldn't see. Everything was covered in ash. Ash was falling from the sky. The winds had come obviously before the fires and whipped everything around. So there was already that insanity of just crazy winds blowing things into into our yard and all this stuff. So everything that was blown around from the winds was still there. But now it's the weirdest thing. It almost seems like, there she is. I'll just finish this thought. It's so clear and still that it's making me think there's going to be an earthquake.
Oh gosh,
That's what I
don't
think. I
throw
just
the
let,
earthquake jinx at us, please.
yeah.
Not
Well,
right
no, but
now,
well,
not
here's the
ever.
thing. If I say it, it won't happen. Because what
Okay.
are the odds? If I said it and then it happens, I'm actually protecting us.
Yeah, God likes to mess with people and he loves to gamble with our emotions, but
Yes.
I have my faith in my co-columnista Stacey that there will not be an earthquake, at least during this conversation.
At least during this
I don't
conversation.
know. My internet just went out and came back, so who knows what could happen next.
Mhm.
Apologies, guys. All right, so I'm going to dive in from where I was, and you just
Yeah.
tell me you've already two gifted people have already handled this. Stacey, where are you right now?
I live in what's called Garvanza, which is a little neighborhood right on the edge of South Pasadena and Highland Park. So I'm about 5-ish miles from the Eaton fire, which I watched start on television as we were busy watching the Palisades fire. We said, oh, wait, that's really close. That just started and that's getting bigger. And as I was mentioning to Gustavo, there was just days and days of thick smoke and ash everywhere, smoke smelling inside the house, and lots of fire engines, nobody outside. I stayed in the house. We were getting a lot of warnings, so we're ready to go. And I don't know if you guys saw, but there were a lot of a lot of mistake warnings, even some in the middle of the night, which are, fun to wake up to. Um, so
That's why you should disable them like I do, Stacey.
well, I'm afraid to
And
just,
you won't know when to evacuate. I mean,
yeah.
don't you need to get warnings at 3 o'clock in the morning sometimes?
That's why we have them. I mean, you've completely disabled yours. You
Yeah,
really did.
my
You really
warning system is my siblings who text me every 5 minutes. So
Okay, well, see,
they'll
I
let
don't
me know.
have any of those, so I have to rely on the city of Los Angeles to send me warnings. However, I'm pretty used to those warnings being a lot of bluster. From when I lived in the desert, you get them every 5 minutes because there's always a crazy windstorm. And I've learned how to read the warnings and see, is this a warning or is this telling me I have to do something? So far, luckily, they've only just been warnings.
So you have not been evacuated.
No, haven't been evacuated.
Gustavo, I'm wondering, you are a columnist for the LA Times. I'm wondering what it's like for the LA Times is obviously the biggest media organization, certainly in Southern California. Um, what happens as a journalist with a fire like this? Do you stop your beat? Does your editor say, Gustavo, go find stories, go find things to report specifically around the fire? What's it like in the LA Times newsroom right now?
Everyone is on fire watch because it has affected so many of my colleagues. Again, I'm in Orange County, so I'm far, far away. So I personally know maybe two or three people who have lost their homes, like people who are on my contacts list on my cell phone. But if I go on Facebook, so these are people that if I see, I hug, I say what's up, that's probably 30 people that I know. And then
Wow.
secondhand, easily 100. And I'm sure there's many, many more people. So right now at the Times, entertainment, sports, everyone still is focusing, Donald Trump is going to be inaugurated next week. So that was a big thing that we're leading up to. But right now, what Southern Californians need is information on what's happening. Today, as we speak, it was supposed to be another horrible wind event. So far, so good. Knock on wood with your thumbs crossed and all of that. But we don't know. And so we are all on fire watch. Like myself, I've been doing columns. All of us, like, our job as columnists is, to take yes, we try to find the small stories, but we also try to take the bigger scope of what's going on. So, for instance, we're going to post this later on, but I'm going to be doing a column about why is it that we're all like the quotes that you see about the Santa Ana winds and wildfires. It's always the same four people: Mike Davis, Joan Didion, Nathaniel West, and the Day of the Locust, of course, and I'm forgetting the fourth one right now. It's Didion, Davis, West, and some other person, but it's always a canonical people. And part of it is because they're brilliant, but when do we start incorporating other voices as well? Like
Raymond
Octave,
Chandler,
yeah,
Mary
Raymond
Milton.
Chandler, of course. Yeah, the wind with and meek housewives see the knife and they see how thin the neck is of their husbands and all that. Yeah, Raymond Chandler, the classic one. But so I write about that. I'm not castigating that, but what is it about folks that want us to share that stuff. So that's what we all do. But like, shout out to all my colleagues at the Times, all reporters out there going on, especially those of them who, who have loved ones who have lost everything. And this is just immediate disaster damage. This is not something that's just gonna end in a week. This is weeks, months, not years. This is permanently going to alter the very idea of Los Angeles. And also, I'm seeing, because I read everything, people are saying this is the end of the California dream. It ended in Los Angeles in the Palisades and Eaton fires. And of course, we here disagree with that, but that's something that we're all going to have to be thinking about.
Wait, let's talk about that. So people are saying, I haven't heard this, but people are saying this is the end of the California dream, that this fire is what is the thinking behind that, and why is that not true?
Because there's haters out there who are reveling in the fact that liberal, progressive, multicultural Los Angeles is in flames. And I'm not going to name any publication because we don't need to give them any credit for this, but they're saying that. They're saying like liberal policies. And that was actually the first column that I wrote was, the immediate thing was like everyone was trashing Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass because she was
Yeah.
part of a presidential delegation to the inauguration of the president in Ghana. And she left on Saturday. The fires didn't start until Tuesday. And so the thinking is like, oh, she should have been here for that. Like there was going to be warnings. And what I argued was there's going to be a lot of finger pointing. Right now, we need to just focus on what can we do to help out other people. That's the most important thing right now. Later on, there's going to be full reports, and there should be full reports. No one should be excused if they did not do their job. But right now, let's help. Let's help. Let's write. And us as writers are the best way that we could help is by telling those uplifting stories, those sad stories, those utility stories, all of those stories. But for me, no, the California dream will never die. And, to tie it back into what we were supposed to talk about, the seven wonders of California, one of the wonders that we should, that is always there is the resilience of the Californians who come in. Joan famously wrote about how her family had, what was it, the potato masher that exemplified the hard times that they lived in, and they made something happen. That's what makes a Californian. In the worst of times, that's when the true Californian comes up and shows what California is about and why they fight so much for it, because it's California. It's our California.
Stacey?
Yeah, I mean, we're resilient people. And we're not going to we don't just lie down and die when there's a tragedy. Why would we? We're not going to let this go. It's too good.
Well, people
I have
arguing that we're touchy-feely, soft Californians, and oh no, our mansion burned down, so we're gonna go give up and move somewhere else. I mean, I'm not understanding how this
yeah,
could
I would say those
possibly end the California dream.
I would say anybody who could leave this place that easily, isn't truly a Californian, meaning, I don't know, they don't have the grit. We're gritty. We have grit.
With all apologies to the Philadelphia Flyers mascot. Yes. It's a
The
sports thing.
Philadelphia
Sorry.
Flyers. Yeah.
His name's Gritty. Sorry, had to go there. I'm a
Oh,
hockey
all
guy.
right. Okay.
There you go.
We're not gonna, is
You know,
that
I
a
don't get the
hockey
sports
reference?
references.
Yeah.
What?
You can't do an ice hockey reference in
No.
California. That,
Tell that to the San Jose Sharks there, Beth.
oh my God. Oh,
Anyways,
touche,
but no, I agree with Stacey.
touche.
We are people of grit. It's so easy to, the hippies up in like in Humboldt County, the surfers down in San Diego, the desert rats out in in Mojave. You have to be a tough person to live in all of those places. You have to have grit. And one of the things, I mean, you want to find glimmers of hope in all this tragedy and devastation. And I really have been pleasantly, not pleasantly, incredibly grateful to see so many people organize fundraisers, help out dogs, help out everything, because there's going to be so much help. I mean, and tying it back to California history, I could imagine and would hope that what we're seeing right now is what the reaction was in San Francisco in 1906 after the earthquake and the huge fires that destroyed so much, where you had the rich suffer along with the poor. So like people of color and everyone getting together to try to help in this moment.
And if I could bring it back to the Seven Wonders, I read in the Seven Wonders the history of Cioppino, that the dish was started after in a cookbook that was put together to raise money after the San Francisco fire. Do I have that right? So who knows? Maybe there'll be some great dish that comes from this.
A
be
delicious
full
food dish that
of
emerges from the
Red Bull
Palestinians.
and yeah, I don't know, like
Yeah, I mean,
but
ingenuity. You weren't going to
ingenuity.
see this. You're going to see so much good come out of so much bad because that is a California way. Again, the California dream is okay, here's this big, huge plot of real estate that is not for everyone, and that does bring fires, that does bring earthquakes, that does bring floods when it's, and of course, let's not forget drought. So, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to be, as someone pointed out, a word I always like to say, that a California quitter, try
Yeah.
it and leave when it's tough? Or when the going gets really tough, you're going to stay here and be resolved, or rather, and have that resolution of making this state an even better place for those of us who are here and those of us who may come.
I'm curious how, um, to Stacey's point, I was not there for the 1906 earthquake and fire of San Francisco. I was for the 1989 Loma Prieta earthquake. And to your point, the city really did all come together in surprising and effective, beautiful ways. And then down the road, there were extraordinary changes. Like there used to be this huge freeway along the Embarcadero that because of that earthquake is now gone, and now there's a beautiful Embarcadero. But there's right now, it seems to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you are in the fires are still burning, people are still, and you are in triage mode right
Mhm.
now. Can you talk a bit about how, and someone points out, shout out to the Canadian and Mexican firefighters who have so selflessly come to LA's aid. And I know firefighters are coming from around the country. Can you talk about how Southern Californians, everyday Southern Californians, are not delighting you, but what was extraordinarily coming together and working together um, in ways that we might not expect.
Uh, I've just seen so many people drop everything they were doing to spend days and days running around town, picking up supplies, dropping them off, helping pets. The reaction is heartwarming to see the amount of help that thankfully I haven't needed. But if I did, it would sure feel great to know that that many people were working that hard and doing that much to make other people comfort. Because we love comfort in Cal, as tough as we are, you know. We when somebody needs a better blanket, an Angelino, a Californian, is the one, you know, who's going to get you a better blanket and a better pillow.
Yeah, and it's extraordinary to see just because there's so much help needed just on the basic level. Where do we shelter all these folks? We're talking about tens of thousands of people.
Mhm.
How do we rebuild afterwards?
Yeah,
So those are the
those
big
are the
things like
questions.
food, water, but
Yeah.
then you have small things. My colleagues at Delos, which is a Latino focused vertical for the LA Times, they just did a story about I forget who the person was, but they organized a makeup gathering. And you might think, oh, for teenage girls, oh, that's superficial.
Uh,
But no, these teenagers need something that's going to get them back on their regular day-to-day
yeah,
routine. I saw
I know
another
it.
fundraiser. I'll just finish with this one. I saw another fundraiser, vinyl collectors. They are getting in contact with people who lost. I mean, people lost everything. I've been in Altadena behind the barricades as I followed LA County Supervisor Catherine Barger, who's in charge of that area. And so I was able to see you see cars literally melted to the ground. You see nothing. The only thing that stands are bricks or like are chimneys. And so now people are saying like, hey, people have lost their vinyls. Let's do a collection so we could replace their entire collection. We're talking about hundreds of people. And again, you
Oh,
think that's so superficial, but it's not because it's these people. They cared so much about their
Yeah.
collections. And to have absolute strangers, but they share something saying, we're going to help you, that really is incredible.
Yeah, that's the thing. It sounds like to the outside observer, it sounds like something that would be so superficial, makeup, records, things like that. But that's the things that make you feel human and make you feel normal. And that's what everybody just needs is to feel normal. And that's and the people who haven't like me who haven't had to evacuate or lost anything, we're all looking to those people to figure out what the tone is, because we all want to feel normal too. I mean, we want to do our things, but we don't feel like we can do our regular things because it feels disrespectful to just,
Yeah.
continue on with your regular life when so much suffering's happening around you.
I
And then
saw,
one other thing I'll say just really quickly, then that's it. Because I just love this point again. Wonders helping. This is something that people did not expect of Los Angeles. People really thought it's just going to be like the riots again. People are just going to be dog eat dog, fighting each other, destruction nonstop. But no, what you're seeing right now is just such overwhelming love. And I knew it was in LA, but it's one of those things like, that really you're going to expect the better of people. But then when you see it play out, it just exceeds any expectations you had.
I want to give the Groundlings a shout out. I have a friend, a childhood friend who performs there. And so I follow them on Instagram, and they, I guess, have had a lot of conversations, and they're going to start again with a show tonight, I believe. It's either tonight or anyway, they've decided to start up shows again. And that's sketch comedy, that's improv. Um, but it's interesting how LA is, I mean, I have, these larger questions of like, how is this going to change movies or TV shows that are in production? What does this mean for um the kind of we were talking about one I wanted to just grab on this. I realized that there's many things popping in and people are asking questions and I want to get to these. Can you talk? I realize that it's all, it is wonderful and people are coming together. You did mention and I'd heard rumors about this, that there are people who are taking advantage of this in negative ways, either looting, price
Yes,
gouging.
price gouging, looting, and just being nasty and mean. And like we've sort of touched on, I don't have to feel sorry for a rich celebrity. And it's not really like feeling sorry. It's just a sadness. It's a sadness when anything and you shouldn't, you know, it would be a very ugly, it would feel very ugly right now to start getting cynical about this. And, just because somebody seems like they have everything doesn't mean it's okay when they lose it.
Well, and there's also a bit of a political divide that California is a very blue state of snowflakes
Mhm.
that kind of deserve this, that this is all because of our wokeness and our, shifting funds or whatever. A lot of people are pointing out in the chat, and this may be just our audience, that the real culprit is climate change. Is there are you even ready to talk about what caused this? Should this have been prevented, or is that down the line? And you're
Um,
still in this kind of, what do I
I
do
think
today? How do I get through today?
I think, and the people I speak to think that we are ready to be open to it being a combination of things. We don't have to look at it in this binary way. I mean, it can be more than one thing. It can be exacerbated by climate change and mishandled. Those two things can exist at once.
Yeah, on 60 Minutes, you had some of the fire chiefs, LA County fire chief and the Orange County fire chief. And they said, like, we could have had all the resources available in California, literally 26,000 fire trucks in California, and they would not have stopped specifically the Palisades fire. So right now, I personally think everyone needs to help. Everyone needs to help those who need the help. But yes, there are going to be some existential questions. How do you rebuild?
Yeah.
Should you rebuild that
Where do you rebuild? Yeah.
where do you rebuild that grand prophet? People try to characterize him as a prophet of doom, Mike Davis, but he
Yeah.
infamously, legendarily wrote an essay called The Case for Letting Malibu Burn. And Malibu's right next to the Palisades. So, people I'm not going to talk about Mike. He was a dear friend of mine, but I'm going to write about it because I think people mischaracterize him also like, oh, such cynical, nasty stuff. But no, in fact, what Mike always the part that people didn't listen to about Mike was like the only way for salvation is for all of us to gather together and rebuild something that's going to be more sustainable. Again, those questions are for further down the line and they're going to come sooner rather than later. But yeah, we can't shy away from those either.
I mean, yeah, we have someone chiming in saying the real culprits are fireworks, power lines, and arsonists. I mean, and I've also heard that, this is like the conspiracy theories of,
Space lasers.
MAGA people have set these fires to distract from Donald Trump's ongoing legal problems, what have you. I'm curious how each of you are, Stacey, you are a prolific writer, you're a comedian, you're kind of your job is to be really funny all the time. Um, and Gustavo, you write, I mean, obviously you write about LA and Orange County, Southern California region. Do you have any sense of when you will be able to go back to, Stacey, when are you allowed to be funny again?
It's a good question. I think it's on everybody's mind. Um, it's a day by day thing. Like every day feels a little bit, and as this goes on, it and other things take precedence, which they already are and will. Um, it's just it's going to be a day by day thing. Maybe being funny isn't what's needed right now, but when it is, I'll be there.
Stacy's laughing already, so hey, we're getting
Honey.
there. Now
Stacey, you
look,
asked, I thought, well, I just want to, Stacey asked via email, are you allowed to talk about GoFundMe fatigue or is it too soon?
Yeah, I
Um,
know.
is
It's,
it? I mean, I think that's a really interesting question. There's so many people. I mean, how many, if I lost
I
my
can't keep
house
in
and my
track.
friend,
Yeah,
possibly. I mean, that's
yeah.
such an interesting thing to do. I was kind of morbidly going through the GoFundMe's. I have friends, who are
Mhm.
sharing them. My friends lost everything. No, my friends lost everything.
Yeah, yeah.
It's an
I can't even keep them. I
extraordinary.
can't keep them all straight. I can't keep track of them all. I wish we lived in a world where GoFundMe was not even necessary. That's
Right.
that's the real tragedy, I think, that we even need to do this. And then you get people, of course, there's a lot of talk about like, well, these people don't need it. These people need it more. And it just opens up a whole can of worms about, other people's needs, which is
Yeah.
difficult.
Gustavo, go ahead.
yeah, I am slowly seeing memes, funny memes about the fires. Again, gallows humor more
Oh,
than anything. So I
really?
think,
Yeah.
yeah, I think what we're gonna see first is gallows humor. Because that's what and what I was gonna say is that the two things that separate us humans from every other living species on Earth is that humor and hope.
Yeah.
So the
Yeah.
humor, it has to be part of us, It
Yeah.
has to be funny above all. Stacey knows this
Yeah.
better than anyone. Like you can't say just
Yeah.
a joke to like trash someone. It has to be funny.
It
And then
has to be
hope,
really funny.
we're seeing we're seeing the hope right now in these people gathering together, in helping each other, and all of that. So, like on my end, like when do I stop covering these calamities?
Yeah.
Probably never. There's always going to be tendrils of this going into again, the very fabric and idea of LA for months, years. Of course, I do have to cover other things. In fact, I probably gonna post. It's gonna post today, I think. But I did on Monday. I went to a Clippers game with my good friend Nelson. Nelson, a lifelong Clippers fan, had never gone to a Clippers game. I said that his fanship was like out of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, where he was always just like, oh, looking from afar. But I took him there. He was super happy. And yes, the Fires were there because the Clippers were wearing a T-shirt that said "LA Strong." But people at the game didn't want to talk about the Fires. They did their acknowledgement and their applause, but it's like, all right, let's play ball. They cheered. The Clippers won, and my friend was just so happy, and I was
Yeah.
happy for him. So I think what we as writers, as creative people, need to do is yes, don't shy your eyes away from what's in front of you, but try to find like people are reading you. Do you want to keep them in a
Yeah.
doom gloom? No, like
Yeah.
you want to give them hope.
Yeah. And you can also just give them, sometimes I think we're getting to the point where certain people are just going to want to start needing distractions.
Right. Right.
Distractions, I think distraction is the first level. The first level is just, okay, now I want to think about something else. For
Yeah.
those of us who have the luxury to think about something else.
Well, I still have you. I do want to tackle some of these questions. One of them is a super big one, and I realize that you guys are not municipal experts, but you're California experts. Well, LA's scheduled to host, let me look at the list, the World Cup, the Super Bowl, and the Olympics in the next few years. I mean, Gustavo, you said this is forever changed LA. Um, do you see those? Oh, someone's pointing out FDR said baseball would continue during World War II. Yes, that's how we got a league of our own, folks. But but
Funny.
how do you see LA's got a lot on its plate coming up?
I mean,
On the global scale, how is this going to impact that?
Historically, big sporting events are put in areas that are recovering. I mean, when they put the Super Bowl in New Orleans a few years after Katrina, and the whole idea is to bring revenue to these areas. So there's going to be a lot of people, and of course, a lot of people did not want the Olympics to be in Los Angeles at all, thinking that there should be better resources put. And this does put a huge wrench in the plans of Los Angeles to do this, because now all these resources, and of course, technically, the Super Bowl and the World Cup would be in Inglewood, the city of Inglewood, which is, of course, right next to LA. But I don't think, I mean, that is a big challenge, especially for LA Mayor Karen Bass, because these were already going to be huge challenges. Now, right now, LA needs a leader to be able to, with the help of everyone else, to be able to rebuild, to be able to take care of those people, and also not miss out on those events, because LA was counting on so many people from across the world coming in to bring revenue to these hotels and restaurants and all of that. So what I would say, I mean, you have the World Cup, what, in next year, 2026, or I think the Super Bowl, I always forget, but like they're coming. So, but first and foremost, we need to take care of the people who need to be taken care of. And if hosting these big events is going to distract, and LA needs to say, sorry, let's give it to Orange County. We'll take it. We'll take it all. Sure.
Yeah, but like you said, it's something there to give us hope and a goal, something to get to,
And
something.
perhaps much needed income.
And
Oh,
yeah.
super much needed income.
Um, uh, Clarissa asks, thinking about Gustavo and others talking about relationships being transactional versus transformational, can more of us now make that shift to transformational relationships? How will this change Californians' relationships towards one another? And for those of us, I'm in Northern California and I have no idea what to do. What can I do?
Just
Stacey.
care. Yeah, care. It was really nice to get calls from people to just asking if I was all right. That's really, it seems like a simple thing, but if just knowing anybody cares is really all sometimes is needed.
Gustavo?
Yeah, I mean, Californians, again, were stereotyped as very aloof, very using other people. And sure, some people do that. But again, at the core of the Californian is this idea that we care about each other. As Californians, we're going to care about each other. We should know more about each other. Northern California should know more about Southern California. Dodgers fans should love Giants fans more and all of that. And I would hope in moments like this that we do that. Does that change things? We're humans. Well,
Yeah.
once we get over something, then we move on to the next thing, and we think never again after this moment, and then we're surprised when it happens
Yeah.
again. So I would just hope, especially those of us, and especially if events like this happen more. Someone mentioned the Tubbs fire and how many huge conflagrations. And one of the funny things I think right now, just as a side and talking about humor, about us writers, how many synonyms can we use for fires? Conflagrations, blazes,
Flames,
infernos,
blazes. Yeah. Get those
ablaze, and
sulfuri out. Right. I
so,
know.
but so all of that said, like now that we have all of these connections that are connecting Northern California and Southern California, can we again reimagine a state that's even better than us, at least just on that personal level, the transformative level, as Clarissa would have said? I would hope so.
Yeah, it's really well. I mentioned to Gustavo and Stacey before this. I got a text from a friend in Nashville saying, "Are you okay? Are you near the fires?" No, I'm 600 miles away from the fires. I think that people, for us, it's in Northern California. Southern California is a different state, if not, there's but I as someone who've been evacuated due to fires and stuff, feel more connect. I mean, I really, really empathize with all of this. And I hope that the rest of the country, despite whatever, political assumptions they have about Californians and our way of life out here, and in the West, feel that empathy and solidarity. Someone mentioned the hurricanes and the floods in the Carolinas, and I think that, hopefully it can bring us all together in a way that sticks. I realize you both need to get on with your lives. It is an incredibly busy time. Is there I mean, I guess to end on I realize that we've kept this pretty positive, but to end on kind of the wonders of California, what is a new wonder that you felt in the past week or so? Is there some kind of renewed sense of pride in our state? Is there something that's just blown your mind in a way, in a positive and wonderful way about being a Californian?
Really
I'm
just appreciate, oh, sorry, Gustavo, just quickly, I just really appreciate blue skies, clear skies, when, when, I really appreciate it when there's no fire. How
that
wonderful and beautiful it is.
seriously, or just crazy winds. No, again, I am just so in awe of generosity. I'm from Orange County, and I've always loved LA. Don't get me wrong, but so many people in Orange County have never liked LA for all these reasons. But now you're seeing, like, wow, we're all Angelinos now. We are all here to help Angelinos in whatever way possible, to stand with them in whatever they need, whether it's a place to stay, whether it's food, whether it's money, whether it's whatever it is. That's what I'm seeing from folks here in Orange County, across, people calling me, same thing like with you, Beth, like friends from Chicago, friends from Atlanta. Are you okay? What do you need? And I just tell them, yes, we're fine. Thank you for checking in. But if you really want to help, there's so many places that need help right now. And if you help whatever you can, $1, $5, $5 million, whatever you could do, trust me, there's people who need that right now. So that's what I'm in awe of, our resilience and generosity as Californians right now, and especially to Angelino. Again, we're all Angelinos now.
I encourage everyone here to follow Gustavo and Stacey on social accounts. Gustavo is writing about this also nonstop. So I know that he has, far more kind of immediate resources if you want to get involved from wherever you are zooming in from today, or watching after the fact. I am so grateful to all of you guys for tuning in. I know we were supposed to kind of be like, what about Robert Redford in your magazine? Stacey really loves Robert Redford and wanted him to be a
Who
He,
wonder
doesn't?
he
for
understands, he
him.
understands, he understands.
He's very understanding, I've heard. But I'm so grateful that you both, Gustavo and Stacey, were willing, and our audience were willing to kind of pivot and talk about this in a free-flowing way, that was not as organized as we normally like to be. But I hope it was valuable to some people, and I'm grateful to both of you, especially for your work for Alta and for being so loyal to us that you're taking the time today in such a tough time. So thank you much for
Gracias to you
Our
all. And
pleasure,
please
our
help.
pleasure.
yeah, folks. I do want to invite you. This conversation in Alta is one of the California wonders. Thank you. I do want to invite you next week. We're going to talk with Rick Bass, who joined a minor league, semi-pro football league in Texas at 60 years old. He wrote about that as an Alta folio. And the week after that, we're gonna get back to the food wonders of California with Tamara Palmer, food writers Tamara Palmer from Northern California and Brock Killing of Southern California. So we're going to move forward, and continue to celebrate and love California and the West here at Alta Journal. Please join us. Please support these two hilarious and brilliant writers, and anyone you know on the West Coast. Thanks so much, everyone.
Yeah.
Gracias all.
Bye.